Coming up.
I feel that training good doctors to go out and take good care of children would make the greatest difference. And that, to me, is what I hope that I tried to contribute.
From sharecropper's daughter to U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Joycelyn Elders was the first African American and only the second female to lead the U.S. Public Health Service.
If we talk about what's good for our community, we need a good health care system, we need good schools, and we need a community that is cohesive and working together and trying to make a difference for everybody.
Join us as she shares her inspiring life story and offers her perspective on public health issues, next on Conversations with Charlene Dukes.
Dr. Elders, and welcome to Prince George's Community College.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
After many trials and tribulations and snow warning, but it was a pleasure to look down and not see any snow.
Well, I'm certainly glad that your trip here was uneventful. And you know what we'd like to do today is start out by asking you a few questions. We know that your autobiography was entitled From Sharecropper's Daughter to Surgeon General. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background growing up in Arkansas?
Well, I grew up in a small, rural, farming community. And I tell people all the time there was population 99, 98 when I'm someplace else. I was the oldest of 8 children. And we worked from sun up to sundown. That was just, we had to do that to survive. And I went to a very small school. It was a one-room schoolhouse. Most people have never heard of one-room schoolhouse where one teacher taught from pre-primer to 8th grade or whatever. But she was a wonderful teacher. In fact, I think she was the best teacher I ever had. And I finally we moved over after a few years to going to a larger school, and I rode the bus. We had to ride the bus for 13 miles. We had to walk about 4 or 5 miles before we could to get to the bus stop. So it was a very difficult growing up. But I graduated from high school. I was the valedictorian of my class.
Wow, that's wonderful.
But, you know, there was only 13 people in my class, so it was a very small class. But on the night of graduation, and I had not planned to go to college. I didn't know a thing about college. There was a United Methodist woman who was there, and they was giving a scholarship to the student who had the highest grade point average, or one girl who wanted to go to college. And well, that happened to be me. I didn't know about applying to college or going. And my sisters and brothers picked cotton to get enough money for bus fare for me to go to Little Rock. Bus fare was $3.43. So, but when I got to Philander Smith College, they didn't even have, didn't know that I had to apply. So they didn't even have an application for me. And, you know, after my family had worked so hard to get me to Little Rock, and then here I was going to be turned away on the very first day without ever getting in, I went out in the hall and I just sat down, and the only thing I knew to do was cry. I didn't have enough money to go back home. So, luckily, the president walk through, and you know, he asked why was I crying. And I started telling him why I was crying, just start bawling. So he told me, he said, well, you just go down to the dorm and stay down there tonight. He said, now I'll see about it. And that was really my start. But it was really because of these wonderful United Methodist women that I got started, and my sisters and brothers. And I'll never forget my younger brother, who ended up being a United Methodist minister and was the director of education for the United Methodist Church for the world. He was the secretary for education. And But he looked up at me at the end of the day after working very hard, and he said, "Do we have enough yet?" And I thought to myself, you know, I didn't say anything. I said, if I ever get out of the cotton patch, ever get enough to help my sisters and brothers out, I'll make sure that every one of them have an opportunity to go to college.
And you did that?
I did that. And I'm very proud of every one of them. 3 of them did not go to college, but they probably made more money than any of the rest of us. They were working for General Motors and Ford, you know,
In the auto industry.
in the auto industry, and they worked very well. My brother worked there for 50 years, and he never missed a single day of work.
Wow, that says something about, I think, family values and family
Absolutely.
ethics, and really how families stay together and make sure that each one of them can do something for the other.
Each one can do something, and that if you really have a good family background, that, you know, there are just certain core values that you get. And my mother only had an 8th grade education, but I remember her saying, if you want to get out of the cotton patch, you've got to get something in your head.
In 1990, in Severn, Maryland, the daughter of a clergyman was discovered by a music industry insider while pumping gas at a service station. The odds of her getting signed and spending 11 weeks at #1 on the U.S. singles charts? 1 in 19 million. The odds of this former church choir singer going on to sell 40 million records? 1 in 15 million. The odds of the same woman winning 6 Grammy Awards and starring in 2 Broadway plays? 1 in 75 million. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Prince George's Community College isn't just a place that offers more than 200 academic, workforce development, and continuing education programs. It's the first step toward the career of your dreams. It's a community of people who want you to succeed. It's where degrees are earned and potential is realized. Apply and register today. Call 301-336-6000. Prince George's Community College, transforming lives.
As we talk about the future of the United States of America and where we stand with regard to education, moving from #1 in the world to probably now almost somewhere around number 12 or number 15, when we talk about the number of persons aged 25 to 64 who have some sort of education with an academic credential beyond high school. So, and I know we'll have the opportunity to talk to you about a little bit of that later on. And as we move forward, you talked about being a valedictorian, going from pre-K, as we call it today, to 8th grade in a one-room schoolhouse. And then catching a bus to get to Little Rock, sitting in the hallway there at Philander Smith. Tell me about your experiences once you were accepted and you felt a lot more comfortable about being there. What were your experiences at Philander Smith?
I felt that I had to study very hard when I was at Philander Smith to do well, and I made very good grades, and I graduated near the top of my class at Philander Smith. But I studied at home. We didn't have water, gas, or electricity, and we had to use a kerosene lamp. And I put this kerosene lamp under my covers, I think, realize how dangerous it is now, in order to read. and study.
So at what point did you decide that a medical career was in your future?
You know, I never thought about being a doctor before. You can't be what you can't see. So I'd never seen a doctor. Until I went to Philander Smith College, and Dr. Edith Irby Jones, who was the very first black person to go to the University of Arkansas Medical School, she just happened to be a woman. But I thought she was the most beautiful, wonderful woman I'd ever seen in my life. I'd never seen anybody, and from that day forward, all I could think about was I wanted to be just like her. And so I spent the rest of my life trying to emulate Dr. Jones.
So role models were just as important as you were moving up through your education as they continue to be today.
Absolutely. As I said, you can't be what you can't see. So at least now children can see. They've got TV, other things they can see. But then, see, we didn't have electricity, so we couldn't have a TV. So
I can remember when we had our first TV in our own home.
Yes.
And we have such a similar background. I'm the second oldest of 9 children.
Yes.
And I do understand that one for all and all for one philosophy
That's right.
that we have. So are there other role models? You talked about your mother.
Yes.
You've talked about this first female physician,
Irby Jones.
Dr. Irby Jones. And were there other role models that, as you moved along, both in your academic career and your actual working career?
Well, as I moved along in my academic career and working career, I had a wonderful mentor that caused me to go into academic medicine as opposed to going into practice. There was Dr. Ed Hughes. He was from New Mexico, and he was very, very Western and very, I think we would say crude. I think that would get, but brilliant. And he really pushed me very hard. I said, well, I'm gonna go into practice and go back and take care of the people in my community. He said, no, you aren't gonna do that. He said, we don't have a single black faculty member on this faculty, and your community may need you, but you can do a lot more for them by training other doctors to go back and refill your community. You see, when I was at home, I had my brother, who I think had a huge distended abdomen. We think it was appendicitis. I don't know, but my dad took him to the doctor on the back of a mule. For 12 to 15 miles, the doctor put in a drain, just punched a hole in his abdomen, put in a drain for the pus to drain out because they couldn't hospitalize black children in the hospitals there then.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing.
My brother grew up to be a veterinarian. Well, he thought, that's the way we treat pigs and hogs and so.
That's amazing. So as we move to community health, we know that you've devoted a large part of your career to being a public health advocate.
Yes.
And what would you tell people today about what's most important in this arena that we call health?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, absolutely the most we can, is education. Education, education. We've got to educate people on how to be healthy. And we, as we, doctors, we feel that we can cure people, but the best way to train people, you can do more to improve your own health than all the medical discoveries in the past 100 years. And I think communities if we have healthy people in healthy communities trying to make good decisions, that we can make the greatest difference. And so that's in health, education, clean streets, clean drinking water, good food. These are the things that will really make a real difference in what happens to our health in this country. We know that rich people have better health than poor people, but that's because they're better educated and they take better care of their health than poor people can or have the opportunity to do.
body language. Without saying a word, it can tell you so much. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time. Time to call 911 immediately. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Learn the body language, the sudden signs, and spot a stroke fast.
"7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
Prince George's Community College isn't just a place that offers more than 200 academic, workforce development, and continuing education programs. It's the first step toward the career of your dreams. It's a community of people who want you to succeed. It's where degrees are earned and potential is realized. Apply and register today. Call 301-336-6000. Prince George's Community College, transforming lives.
So if you had to give us just 3 tips today, what do you think those would be as you talk about taking care of our health and being very preventative?
Okay. If I told you how to be most preventative today, you know, I was telling the students that the U.S. Public Health Service did a huge study, spent millions of dollars to come out with the 7 characteristics of healthy people. Those 7 characteristics were simple things that we can all do. Was eat breakfast, have 3 meals and 3 snacks, make sure that you don't drink excessively, 1 drink a day for men, 1 for women, 2 drinks a day for men, 1 for women. Get 8 to 9 hours sleep a night, so we need plenty of sleep. And you know, we don't need to take good care of our bodies sexually. Don't engage in unprotected sex. The other thing is we need to make sure we exercise. And this is one of the things that they found that we don't do. That we do. I tell everybody when I was out on the farm working 12 hours a day, I was slim and sleek. And then when I start sitting around in the office, well, all of a sudden, I stopped growing taller and start growing wider. So,
well, I think that there are many of us who certainly can understand that.
Right. And of course, we can't use drugs.
Yes, yes. I think all the time about how we know how important these things are, and I wonder what really prevents us from doing them.
That's and those are simple things that every one of us can do.
Yes.
But so I think if we talk about what's good for our community, we need a good health care system, we need good schools, and we need a community that is cohesive and working together and trying to make a difference for everybody.
So as you travel around these days and you come onto college campuses, we know that college students are exposed to any number of things that, quite frankly, I know that even I wasn't as a child growing up, or even a much younger adult. In addition to some of the tips that you've already shared with us, what would you say to college students? Because I know that sometimes their lifestyles can be a lot more aggressive and assertive than we might be used to.
Well, I think I would tell college students the most important thing they need to do is make sure they take care of themselves. The most important thing they've got is take care of their bodies and to try and make sure they take care of their brain, get something in their heads. Don't ever forget all the shoulders you had to stand on to get where you are. Don't forget all the teachers who are here because they all want you to leave here with a vision in your eye to that extends farther than you can see.
Yes.
To a voice in your ear so you can hear those that are less fortunate than you.
Yes.
A song in your heart and a scroll in your hand, which is a good education. Nothing is more important than getting a good education.
So you moved from this small town in Arkansas to college, to medical school, and then you ended up as the first female, I believe, and first African-American Surgeon General. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Okay. Well, I was the second female.
Second female, all right, thank you.
Yes. I really enjoyed being the Surgeon General. I was the director of the health department for Bill Clinton in Arkansas, and he selected me to be the Surgeon General. And I wasn't sure that I wanted to do that because I was having such a good time being the health director. But I really enjoyed being the Surgeon General because I felt there were very definite things that I wanted to make sure that we did and got done. And what I was most concerned about is the marked poverty and ignorance and children becoming parents before they became adults. And I wanted to do something about that. And I felt that if we could prevent children from having children, we could improve the education and we could markedly reduce poverty and make a difference. And I went out very determined to do something about that, whatever it took. I was really wanting to really make sure that more bright young women wouldn't end up poor, ignorant, and enslaved for the rest of their lives.
Yes, that's absolutely wonderful. And I think that we certainly are still benefiting today from that work that you began back in the Clinton administration. So was there anything that you wished you would have been able to do, but you were unable to?
Well, yes. You know, what I really wish that I could have done is I really wish that we could have had comprehensive health education in all of our schools from kindergarten through 12th grade. I really wish that we could have had primary preventive health care in all of our schools. I think that we would have markedly reduced the cost of health care. We would markedly reduce the number of children being born to children. We would make a real difference in our overall health care because we would have educated people, young people, on how to be healthy. So the thing I tried very hard to do is get a comprehensive school health and to have school-based wellness centers in all schools. I really wish that I could have gotten that done, and I think it would have made a difference for the bright young people in America.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. When I say dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again now.
That's it. Jamaica, here you come.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Can you consent with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. 'Cause every kid across the nation deserves a book to read, and we can make it happen right now. No, I don't know what you've been told, but kids with books learn so much more. So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite, unearth hidden passion. Come on, have a good time. Planting seeds of inspiration to motivate some magic. To change the writing on the wall, writing on the wall. And make a difference. One book can inspire a child. One book can be the first element. Helps to
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
While we may not have school-based health centers in every public school across these United States of America, you did make a mark, because even here in Prince George's County, we do have some school-based health centers, and we know that the children and their parents really go to those centers and they use them well.
Yes.
So, you know, as we talk about health care, do you believe that with the Affordable Health Care Act that we'll be able, because everyone will be required to have some kind of health care coverage, that we can finally think about getting there to that point where health care is there for all and that it can work for all?
I really do. And I think that it will make a great difference. I think it will markedly improve the health of America. There's no reason for us to be number 57th in overall health. No reason for us to be number 28th or even much higher in infant mortality rates because of our health. We're below Cuba, have better infant mortality rates than we do. And that's because we do not have health insurance or health care for all of our people. We're the richest country in the world.
Yes.
We have 5% of the population and 25% of the wealth of the world, and we still rank so low, and we spend more money on health care than anybody else, and we still do not have the best health.
Well, we're certainly hoping that we can see some things improve as a result of some new legislation that's in place. So, Dr. Joycelyn Elders, you're retired now.
Yes.
Tell us, what is retirement holding for you?
You know, I have really enjoyed being retirement, but I don't feel retired. I have continued to work so very hard, really going around the country, still talking about many of the same things, trying to make sure that, and we're going to have health education, comprehensive health education in schools. They've passed it as a national legislation. School board has passed, school boards have passed, and so we can educate people on how to be healthy.
Yes.
You can't have a democracy and ignorance too. So we've got to train young people how to be healthy. And I think that when we do that, that will give us a good start. And we make sure that services are available where they are, that they will use them.
And that sounds like that's a great legacy, certainly for a great woman, a great visionary. And what we want to do is thank you for being with us today. We have so enjoyed your time with us and those things that you shared with us. Tips that I know that I need to take. One is eating breakfast in the morning.
That makes two of us.
And the second one is exercising just a little bit more. And I know that as you've met with our students today in the Academy of Health Sciences, they've had the opportunity to talk to you about their own goals and aspirations. And I hope that as you met with them, you saw some future academicians who are going to be teaching in medical schools, and then those who are going to be practitioners, going back to their communities and doing what I call good work.
Right. I was very impressed with the group of bright young people that I met with today.
That's absolutely wonderful. And what I'd like to do again is thank you for being here with us today. And I would turn to my audience and say, this is Charlene Dukes, and join me next time for Conversations.